Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to cover a topic I have never covered on Boon Canon before. I don't mean a person, I mean a topic. Rap music. Sure, I've touched on it a little bit with my video on YouTube, dude, but I've wanted to make a video specifically about rap for a while. Mostly because it gives me an excuse to bring Superfly as my co-op partner again. I said, because it gives me an excuse to...
I ain't doing this shit, bro.
Why not?
Come on, really? After what you said to me a few videos ago, the grill me shit? Look, I don't know what's going on in your head, but you can't just say shit like that. You got pen game. You can figure out this one for yourself.
Okay, look. I'm sorry for bringing up the Grillby thing. I should have known better. It's a very sensitive subject, and I said this already, I'll say it again. I should have known better. But I don't really think of you like that anymore. I was just remembering old stuff is all. A lot of shit from back then was coming up in that video. Even before then, actually. So, yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I guess. Still mad at you for that shit.
When are you not?
You know what? Good point. Anyway, what up, bitches? It's your boy. Let's talk about helloyassine. Doodle covers shit that goes down in the music industry, mostly when it comes to rap. In this video, he's talking about why female rappers don't deserve respect.
Alright, now let me clarify something about that title. It's a little clickbaity. He's not talking about female rappers as a whole in this video, but rather a specific group of them primarily, and most of the latest batch of mainstream female rappers. I'll touch more on that distinction when it actually comes up, although admittedly it'll be a very light touch. But just know that this distinction is going to be one he does at the very least indicate during the video himself.
And to be honest, he does kind of have a point. Yeah, Big Shot bringing me in when we not calling somebody a piece of shit. But there's actually a pretty nuanced reason to talk about this video. Roll it.
What's poppin', yo? Nicki Minaj has undoubtedly taken many arrows for a lot of these new age female rappers to be able to do their thing, drop music, get money, more acceptance, a wider fan base. But something just burst the pipes the other day when Lotto, who's one of the most talked about and mainstream new female rappers with a Grammy nomination, and a massive radio hit Big Energy, had 130 of her songs leaked. This was already suspicious because it's not often we see this many songs get leaked for any rapper, let alone a female rapper. That's something we rarely see. But throughout these leaks were a ton of reference tracks.
So for those who don't know, a reference track is basically a demo version of a song. He's going to delve into this more, but essentially he's saying these leaks are catching people with ghostwriters because it shows that other people wrote their shit.
And that's where this criticism is at least legitimate. Ghostwriting is essentially when someone else writes for you. One of rap's main selling points over other genres of music is authenticity, so being caught with other people getting credited for writing your lyrics is a blow to one's reputation. Although, to be fair, isn't really proof of ghostwriting. This is an indication of it, sure, but as we'll see, there's a lot that indicates that this isn't necessarily the proof that he and a lot of people think that it is.
Some of the most notable being for her Big Energy song, a reference track that she was performing for the song Whole Lotta Money, that's Bia's song with Nicki Minaj on the remix, and a reference track that Lotto was performing for Blick Blick, that is Learay's song with Nicki Minaj.
Okay, so the Leray and Bia songs are going to come up later, but, Jacob, you want to take this with the Big Energy reference track?
Yeah, sure. I kind of get this. It displays that a few specific lyrics were originally done by London J, which is an indication that a few lines weren't Lotto's idea. When people talk about somebody not writing that song, this ain't it, homie. People get lyrics from each other behind the scenes all the time. Now, granted, he should have a writer credit, which is something we're going to get into in a bit, but this ain't anywhere close to what the other two songs show.
And probably shouldn't be brought up in the same breath as them, other than for the context that it was released on the same day. Which, to be fair, that's pretty much all you say about it, so fine. But you do say that Lotto doesn't deserve respect as well, so we're actually going to have to bring this up more than you do.
This was like 9/11 for female rap music. And interestingly enough, Nicki Minaj had, or still has, beef with Lotto and Leray at the very least. But throughout this video, I'm going to explain why female rap doesn't get respect, why it shouldn't get respect after this, dismantle every major argument and pushback used when people say female rap sucks, and what holds back the actual talented female rappers from getting the respect that they deserve. Because at the forefront, the rappers that are pushed are not great already. Now we know that they have writers, and the actual talented ones behind aren't getting the support, which is why the genre as a whole, or subgenre, whatever you want to call it, gets overlooked.
Which I fucking agree with, actually. Labels push a marketable image over those who actually make music for the sake of having something to say.
One thing I'll note about this, though, it kind of shows that your word choice is poor. You saying female rap in general doesn't deserve respect, but there are female rappers who do, and you point them out in this video. This is going to be something we elaborate on in final thoughts, but, well, there's a difference between pointing out issues and saying a whole subgenre doesn't deserve respect.
Not even a subgenre, really, but this is actually where I'm going to get on your ass later.
Lotto's leaks weren't just hooks, to put that out there. It was brutal, but I went through a bunch of these songs, and a lot of them were reference tracks, laid down by men, for even verses of songs that didn't even go that crazy.
Well, I've tried to find a place to hear all of the leaks, but I can't seem to, so I guess I'll just have to take your word for it on anything that I'm unable to find myself that you don't bring up then. I did find a bunch of them, but it sounds like they were full songs that they decided to just plain not use for one reason or another, or at the very least that they hadn't used yet.
So you're technically right. The tracks ain't just choruses. In fact, there's some where there's no hook in the song here, but since the only proof of ghostwriting you got is from being Leray, and I'm assuming you mean it's not just choruses that are ghost written, that's the only evidence we really have to go on, since the other leaked tracks aren't really relevant to that in any way.
The effects of this leak rippled out to other female rappers as well. Let's start with Leray. Leray has said she works with writers in the past. How? Is her music still largely terrible? Not quite sure.
Which is an indication of something we're going to say in our final thoughts, by the way.
I mean, fair enough, though. If you ain't feeling somebody, you ain't feeling somebody. Especially since, well, in the case of Leray, it just straight up is the same track. So this is probably the part where we got the least to say. So we got a skip screen here, right?
But the evidence of that is in her No Jumper interview.
Type person, like, I don't need no fucking writer. But, I'm like, yo, whatever it is y'all want me to do, you want me to work with writers, you want me to do this, that, and third, like, I don't care.
Fair enough. She was honest, right?
The point about honesty is going to come up later too, specifically when you start talking about BM.
Well, not quite. Because when Nicki Minaj decided to save Leray's career, when she was in the deepest rut of everyone clowning her, saying she sucked, her shows were reenactments of the mannequin challenge, Nicki showed a lot of love towards her and was on Instagram Live asking her about the writing process for Blick Blick, to which Leray had the nerve to outright lie. Let me run the clip and just look at Leray's face before she answers the question.
Now, what is your process like? How long did it take you to come up with the hook? Did you do the hook first, or did you just start rapping at the top of the beat and then just went into the hook?
Just did the hook first and then the verse. I don't know. It depends. Like when I'm in the studio, like whatever vibe, I'll get some little drink. You know what I'm saying? Little vibes. I'll be with my peoples because.
All right, now I want to make something clear about what I'm about to do here. I'm going to, for the sake of argument, and not because I actually believe this, point out how Leray technically didn't outright say she wrote the whole song here. All right, so while Nicki's question is pointed in the direction of asking about her writing process, the writing and recording process are two different things.
Yeah. Even in rap, unless you're doing a freestyle. Not that you don't come up with something in the booth, but when you got writtens, you got writtens.
Exactly. Now, Leray didn't describe her writing process here. Notice how her face shifts to being bothered only when she hears Nicki say something about how she came up with the hook, because that's the point where the question gets pointed to the writing process. We'll get into how Nicki steers the question away from talking about the writing in a moment, but Leray's response is to talk about what she does in the booth, not with the pen.
In other words, dodging the question while still acting like she's answering it.
And see, I'd normally be the one to call out these subtle ways that someone kind of lies without lying, which I am here as well, to be clear. I agree with your point overall, but it's technically not an outright lie. And I thought it would be both interesting and informative to kind of break down how subtle the lie actually is and why some people would have such an easy time ignoring it.
This Instagram Live was a little sus. We can't tell for sure if Nicki Minaj knew before asking this question if Leray had laid down the hook or not.
I mean, she did lay down the hook though. Just because she didn't write it doesn't mean she didn't perform it.
Although Nicki definitely knew Leray didn't write it, or at the very least, she knew that a question about the writing wasn't something she should have asked. Now, notice how she looks at the camera, sees Leray's reaction to the question, and then immediately starts presenting hypotheticals that put her in the studio, giving her the out to dodge the question entirely. That's not really accidental.
Oh, and by the way, Nicki uses lines and a flow from the original and puts her own spin on it.
Hey, yo, holla. All these diamonds different color. I'm the leader, bitches follow. Hey, holla. All these diamonds different color. I done ran up all these commas.
Hey, holla. All these diamonds different color. I done ran up all these comma.
And that's gonna be real fucking relevant to what you say late in the video.
And the funny part about it is, we know that Lotto didn't write the hook, even though we heard the reference track for Blick Blick in Lotto's voice, because Lotto doesn't have any writing credits for it, which means that somebody had to have already written or given a reference track for Blick Blick and shopped it around, with Lotto being one of the female rappers that opted out of taking the song, and eventually it ended up with Leray. They're kind of just playing hot potato with these songs.
One of them writers, by the way, is Asia Smith, otherwise known as Atlanta Ramba A1 LaFlair, who is credited on Big Energy, which explains why both of them were reference tracks for Lotto.
By the way, A1 is a woman. You know, I would say that's going to come up later, but you already said that men are the ones who are writing all these tracks, so it kind of already comes up now, but it's still going to come up later. Even more.
And your wallet.
Nick, give him your wallet.
What for?
It's a knife.
Shout out to all the amazing writers right now. Jazzy, Fresh, A1, Fella, Big A, Skis, Taylor, Chip, Kane, Aaron, Pooh Bear, Legend. She pretty much named all of them are men.
Pretty much all of them are men, you say? Yeah, you remember me talking about A1? The writer on Blick Blick? How you gonna pull that card when the song she's getting blasted for having a writer on was written by a woman she mentions by name in a response to the shit?
Now, this wouldn't be so bad if not for a couple of things. One is something we'll bring up about what he says later, and two, she's not the only female writer on that list. And the other one is trans. Jazzy. Yeah, ain't that some shit? Pretty much all of them are men, right?
As for Fresh, which one you talking about? Dougie, Manny, Bankroll, Eco? Actually, probably not Eco. There's a lot of them, dog. Hell, they even a Jazzy Fresh out there. So maybe you're talking about them. But nobody named Fresh I've ever heard of is a woman, so at least you're not completely wrong.
I mean, that's the thing. Most of the writers mentioned here are men, but the two that aren't are so jarring, either because of very problematic reasons, or because it's the song you're actually talking about, that it sours the entire thought, especially since you say pretty much all of them to give an absolute without giving an absolute. Yeah, I wouldn't really call 2 out of 7 being women pretty much all. I'd say most, but not pretty much all. Yeah, I'm gonna dissect your language too.
And so many more. Okay, I would understand if Leray called herself a businesswoman and collaborated, but when you're calling yourself a creator, let me just move on. Interesting how she now went from rapper to artist to creator, though. I do respect the fact that a lot of fans are writing her off and saying, no, rappers write their raps. Because I'm not gonna lie, with a lot of you guys, it's looking sad. A lot of y'all are like, man, who cares? If the music good, I'ma listen to it. Okay, good consumer. That's what this is about.
Alright, go fuck yourself then.
I mean, it's not like I'm saying that you aren't providing valid criticism, but yeah, kinda go fuck yourself. Now, granted, you said earlier that you already don't like her music, and to be quite frank, I really don't care if she's not the primary writer on the music. I care about what she brings to the performance of it, and I also care if she's lying about collaboration being part of her process, which I feel she did.
And to be clear, having a rap song that was almost entirely written by somebody else is fucking shady as shit on its own anyway, when it's proven to mostly not be your own work. So it's not like if she was honest in saying that it was basically a cover, we'd feel much better about Leray.
But at the same time,
we still got final thoughts coming, homie.
you know what? You're right. I'll save that.
But let's move on to another piece of collateral damage in these Lotto leaks, Bia. The past year, or ever since Whole Lotta Money and Nicki jumping on the remix, then Best on Earth, then London, Bia has been in the conversation of one of the better female rappers to come into the game. But it comes out that Lotto was performing a reference track for Whole Lotta Money, the hook/chorus, and Lotto doesn't have any writing credits on the actual song, which means it wasn't Lotto who wrote it.
Now you're kind of stretching on the disrespect, because who gives a fuck who wrote the hook? If anything, that's the exact part of the song that should be written by multiple people, because the part that needs the most refinement to be able to do its job.
Bia came out strongly, with some hard cope, although some reasonable, a little whataboutism, but we'll get to that after a funny tweet Bia had sent out not even 2 weeks ago. I think rap is in a good place. The girls are making bops, pushing the pen, and having fun. That's all you can do. I don't know if it's the girls making the bops, but we'll get to that a little bit later on.
Oh, we certainly will, won't we? Fuck, this is the point where I actually have problems with this video. And by the way, at this point, you really are kind of saying that collaboration isn't allowed.
Writing credits. You know you can check those. Now stop playing. And she then proceeds to post 4 songs where she has writing credits, showing proof she writes for other people, which we don't care about. Doesn't have anything to do with our point.
It has to do with ours, though, although not this one.
It does have to do with the thing you're going to bring up later that I'm so fucking offended by.
NTM on Bia, writing emoji. In response to a fan asking if Lotto had written the hook for Whole Lotta Money since she was on the reference track, Bia said, "No, London J wrote the hook. I wrote the pre and verse. It's not rocket science." This is where I gotta come in and call out this whole "the writing credits are right there" defense Bia makes. The writing credits, if we want them to matter, should tell us where each individual contributed.
Which is going to be relevant to actually a different thing that you say later.
Although I'm going to go ahead and address part of this now. For the rest of the video, we're going to summarize this point as writing credits don't matter. Because, well, that's pretty much what you say here. They don't matter because they don't list who wrote what. But we're going to address that part right about now.
I know that may be difficult down to the word, but if London J, who did the hook, which is the most infectious and recognizable part of that song, it made that song, had people known that, they wouldn't look at you the same. And in interviews, when they get asked about these songs, they're never divulging that information. Rightfully so, business-wise. I wouldn't expect them to just go out there and say, yeah, I didn't write that hook. It was London J who wrote it. No, that doesn't make any sense. It would be a bad move to make. But you get my point. Writing credits don't mean anything because we don't know what was written by who in the song. And producers are in the writing credits, so we don't even know where to move which person. You just got 16 people on the writing credits, and you don't know who did what.
Namely the fact that this also works in reverse. Writing credits also list Coi Leray on Blick Blick, along with Nicki Minaj. So for all we know, by your own logic, Leray could have written all the actual lyrics herself, and the other writing credits are for Nicki's verse. This concept is also going to be relevant to that argument I alluded to later. But to put it simply, saying they don't matter but also calling them proof of ghostwriting is dumb for the exact same reason. And the producers in the writing credits also works in reverse. The rapper may very well have heard what they had to do and asked them to change something with the beat itself, so they could be involved in the writing process of the instrumental without actually producing, which would make it still their fucking art, even if they didn't write a single fucking lyric.
And the way I look at it is, if you can't even come up with, it's a whole lot of money in this month, what can you come up with?
That's gonna bite your ass in a bit.
And let's not make this look like I'm going all the way in on Bia, because she showed proof of times where she wrote for other rappers on songs she was not even on, something I have not seen Lotto or Coi Leray or JT or Young Miami or Cardi B do. But when he sent out a tweet saying the girls are pushing pen, that's the one thing they're not pushing. Perhaps Bia is doing that, which she gave us proof. She is doing that at times. But the others, I don't know.
Except there's other girls that are less mainstream pushing pen. Fuck, Jazzo co-wrote the Old Town Road remix. The fuck are you on?
Now for Lotto. She didn't say much. She previously addressed writing in her back and forth with Nicki Minaj when she said, "Who want to hear the reference tracks of scratch-off ghostwriters rapping her bars? She used me and the Barbs in every interview until that album sold double wood. Now she wiping that spray tan off and being a Karen." Lotto said, "I'll post it my goddamn self." Well, was she the one that leaked it? They'll all tell you I write too. I heard a few of your refs before they came out too, boo. You forgot we all collab with the same writers? Difference is I don't deny it. The world's seen me writing since 16 on national TV though. Okay, Lotto, but you didn't have hits at 15, 16. You have one now, and it was written by someone else.
Co-written by someone else. You said it yourself. We don't know who wrote what. And evidence suggests that she did do most of the writing.
Like, for one, bear in mind, the song that actually was Lotto's that you mentioned, Big Energy, it originally had a feature that was dropped. So while the evidence doesn't outright prove that those are parts that weren't fully or primarily written by Lotto,
it does indicate that to be the most likely outcome. And I'm pretty sure you know how to refer to the reference tracks and come to indications of what is or isn't being done by whom. After all, Nicki Minaj was on Blick Blick, and you didn't call her out for ghostwriting. Obviously, this is because her verse wasn't on the leaked reference track, thus potentially indicating that the track, at that point, was not one she was involved in, or that her part was written separately. But you make that distinction with Nicki, but not with the person who is admitting to having a writer and letting you know exactly what that writer did.
When for all we know, Nicki could have written the part she references in order to use it herself. Or the ghostwriter could have put it in her verse for her when she ran out of shit.
And she retweeted another tweet saying, "Believe all the rumors, talk all the trash. I truly no longer give a damn, like at all. LOL, life is great." To this, I'm just going to play a Remy Ma clip.
Contrary to popular belief again, you have to write it.
Yes.
You are the person that has to write it.
And so if someone is out who is a rapper and has never written their rhymes, they're not a rapper. They're a performer? Yeah. They're an actor at that point, huh?
They're a great karaoke person. Like, they're great at karaoke.
And where's the evidence that Lotto didn't write anything? She knows what she does, and she knows how much of other people's input is in the work. Hell, for that matter, maybe the reason that she didn't do a whole lot of money is because she didn't write it. Maybe that's the reason it was leaked instead of released. Did you think about that?
I've been a bit critical of Nicki Minaj in the past. Not anything to do with her skill or ability, but mainly questioning why she doesn't embrace the upcoming female rappers, take anyone under her wing. But now I understand. How can Nicki Minaj push or embrace any of these new female upcoming star rappers when they can't even write their raps? That's like asking a legend to take on a bum. Come on, that's too much to ask.
This entire video is about 2 songs she does features for, and part of your evidence against one of them is Nicki saving her career. Fam!
It's the knife. It's a knife.
And this is just who we know for sure. This is outrageous, and when it's pointed out, a small fringe minority, because credit to female rap fans, a lot of them are on the ass for this writing stuff. But they'll say stuff like, well, Drake has writers, or a lot of male rappers have writers. Really? Okay, hold on.
We are about to get into the part of the video that actually got me to do this commentary. So, yeah. Hold on.
Drake, I have constantly, this is just me personally, said is removed from any top rapper list because of him being exposed for having ghostwriters. So I'm consistent on this. Emphasis on ghostwriters. He tried to hide it completely.
But man, Bia didn't hide her writers. Most of the other women you talked about didn't hide it. Hell, Lotto didn't either. He even said she'd leaked the shit herself. And yet, you giving them shit for it the same way you're giving Drake shit for it anyway.
Almost like your stance is inconsistent, but in a more sexist way. But we'll address your response to that counter-argument later.
Kanye West does not count. We consider him an artist. He's credited every writer since the beginning. He's also a producer.
But Leray isn't allowed to call herself a creator instead of a rapper if she's crediting all of her writers?
Yeah, the more you feel the need to make excuses, the worse what you say in the video actually sounds.
And your wallet.
Nick, give him your wallet.
What for?
It's a knife.
Baby Keem, I've been critical of and said it's a shame he doesn't write a lot of his music. But let's go through a short list of some of the most popular male rappers right now that say they write all their music and there is zero proof of them having writers. Meek Mill.
It fucking begins. The first track of Meek's first fucking album has Mac Main credited as a writer. Come on, fucking bro.
Even if we discount Kanoa, since they produced later on the album, we're actually gonna be not counting a lot of people that have both producing and writing credits as we go through these.
We could go further with Meek too, but well, we're also not including any features at all.
Even though, according to the standard you're placing on the women, those should count, since, again, we don't know who wrote that according to you, even when it's blatantly obvious.
21 Savage.
Are you sure? Especially since one of the writers is the trans woman that Bia brought up.
Oh, but you want to say we should disqualify this because it has a vocal credit? For one, thanks for proving your double standard, and for two, got you covered.
Kodak Black.
I mean, yeah, I guess that's pretty easy to say about somebody who won't give his credits.
And that sucks.
Oh yeah, also that.
Lil Uzi Vert.
Okay, admittedly, Lil Uzi Vert tends to have a lot of vocal credits, so he's hard to go by my standard for proving you wrong. But I have one that not only has zero vocal credits other than Uzi, but also highlights another huge double standard in what you're saying. Now, those in the know may find this particular writer credit a bit weird. Max Martin, after all, is most well known for producing a lot of pop from the 90s and early 2000s, so sounds like it could be a sample, right? And you're kind of right, the writing credit is connected to I Want It That Way by the Backstreet Boys, which was written by Max Martin. But it's not a sample, it's an interpolation. It involves him singing the notes from the original song with new lyrics, and for the chorus, the original lyrics. And to put it your way, if he can't even come up with I Want It That Way, what's he really got? And this does, in fact, mean that he is performing something that someone else wrote.
Wow, go figure. It's almost like you're full of shit.
Roddy Ricch. Lil Baby.
I mean, I give you Rods, but yeah, Lil Baby's got a writer credit too.
This isn't a condemnation on any of these guys, by the way, or saying that their stuff is ghostwritten. Just pointing out how his own standards for what qualifies as proof can easily be applied to the names he's listing off. I'm gonna skip over the rest of his list because we've made our point.
Yeah, about the end of the list though.
And we're not doing any assumptions of people having writers saying, oh, you think they don't have writers? No, we're only doing proof. And there has been zero proof on any of these guys, and many more, including Nicki Minaj, of them having writers or reference tracks.
Well, again, the proof is what your standard of proof of having a writer is. They have a writer credit that is not a producer, but again, the credit means nothing if the female rappers have it and own up to it. They still have ghostwriters in your eyes. You know, the reason Drake is disqualified as hard as he is because he hit it, even if people are letting it be known that they collaborate on lyrics.
Or should I say female rappers you don't like, since Nicki Minaj has a lot of writers credited on her albums too. This, again, is by your own standard of what counts as proof. And just Roman Reloaded. And you don't even get to logically go at who wrote what here, even near as much as you could with the guys either. Because Nicki has documented allegations against her of having writers. And not even because people think she's wrong for doing it, but because it makes her hypocritical to bring it up. And, hey yo, speaking of hypocrisy, if we gonna play Remy Ma clips.
Well, let's get to the tough questions. How important is it for a female to write her own lyrics?
It's not important.
It's not important at all.
There you go. I told you.
Not at all.
If battle rap don't give a fuck, watch a mainstream rap.
It's funny that one of the labels that people would throw at you for not enjoying female rap is hating women, which is one of the dumbest arguments because you cannot enjoy something, understand it has its audience that particular thing resonates with, without hating it or who's creating it.
While that's true, that's not what you're doing. Yeah, remember how you called people sad for not caring if the writer and performer are two different people, like a low-budget hip-hop Donald Trump?
So a broke-ass Kanye.
Yes, exactly, like a broke-ass Kanye. Well, that's judging people for liking the thing. You are judging the process and not the art itself. You are judging people who like the art. You are literally doing the thing you are attempting to absolve yourself of with no reason, at least not yet, and we'll get into why your reason doesn't work here in a bit, because someone can do something different from what you're doing. Do you think maybe the reason people are saying this to you is because your reasoning comes across as sexist and a double standard against women? And if that's not the case, then elaboration and rewording yourself to not come across that way should be way easier than you're making it.
Although, we have to ask the question now, how can it be hating women when men are writing the songs?
Because women are also writing the songs, dumbass.
Men are also writing the songs for male rappers. You don't seem to take issue with that. And again, you're fine with Kanye having a label that puts him in a separate place from being a rapper if he doesn't write all the music. But if a woman uses a label like that, it's wrong for her to do so. Fuck off.
And it's the same 3 to 5 guys writing their tracks. Make that make sense to me.
I would if it actually was. Bia's post listed 7 people, 2 of whom were women, and they weren't even the person who wrote the hook. Like, the numbers just don't add up in your favor here.
I mean, if you can't get the numbers right, it's no wonder you can't make sense of it.
Female rap is in shambles. And this hurts a lot of the actual talented female rappers because there are a good amount of them. I didn't bring Doja Cat into this conversation, although she is my favorite artist this year, and rapper, man or woman, because she's far more than just a rapper to fall into this umbrella or topic.
I'll be honest, I originally kind of missed the part where you called her an artist, so I had something here about how I found it sus that Kanye was put on the artist pedestal and Doja didn't get put on that pedestal. But really, this just kind of solidifies your double standard. Doja Cat's credits are more detailed than most rappers are, but again, she apparently doesn't get dragged down for having other people write for her with credits for lyricists that still don't tell you who wrote what part of lyrics, so you really don't know. But not only does she still deserve the rapper label, but she also gets put on a pedestal above any other female rapper. Like, there's several halfway aspects of this that just strike me the wrong way, and I can't seem to put my finger on it. I don't know, it's just weird.
Alright, listen. Most of the rest of this video goes into an overall point across the whole video, and we ain't really gonna cover that, mostly because it's kind of right. Generating buzz seems to be a more important aspect of getting put on and actually making good music in the mainstream. And while it applies to male artists less so than it does women, the fact of the matter is, it's true on both sides. It's pop rap. Rap that's designed to be popular and sell rather than express ideas. Labels are gonna push a specific image of what a female rapper looks and sounds like. Yeah, but they do that with men too.
And to be honest, this comes across as the main message of the video to me, and I actually agree with it, but, well, it's a lot of the rest that bothers me. Especially this.
Personally, the greatest crime out of all of this, I'd be able to sidestep most of this, or I wouldn't go as hard, is that the songs are being written by males. That takes away so much credibility because they can't even say it's the female experience that they're writing about and sharing and their struggles. It's a man cosplaying as a woman, at least mentally and while he's writing, which is being distributed to the masses and marketed as women writing it because that's who's the front face, and influencing actual women on what they believe lyrics are being said by the artists that they look up to. Kind of insidious. Just imagine for a second how we would look at Lil Durk, NBA Youngboy, Pop Smoke, one of these aggressive, Pooh Shiesty for instance, one of these very aggressive, King Von, a killer type music. If we found out that it was 3 to 4 females writing their songs, we would clown them and laugh them out the rap game.
Why is it clowning them for being written by women? Are women not allowed to be hard? Are women not allowed to be violent?
Look, if you were saying that about a G being written by a bunch of suits, then yeah, clown emoji. But what you're saying here is that women wouldn't know how to write about the struggles of street life. So basically, women can't be gangster.
Like, other than the overt reasons what you say comes across as sexist, there's subtle signs and ones that you call attention to as important, no less, that what you're saying is sexist in nature. And to be honest, I don't really think you meant it that way.
The game's always had a lot of trouble with misogyny, and I may as well put this in here too while we're at it. Homophobia and transphobia. Femininity is used as an insult, even nowadays, and to be honest, it's also part of the reason women feel the need to flock to something saying what they've always been told female rap is. Including by Remy Ma, by the way. It ain't just the fault of the label or the current fans. It's embedded in the culture and something that's gonna take a long ass time to fix.
But then there's the standard of the rest of your video. Like, I'm sorry, apparently, if an artist had any part of any song that wasn't written by them specifically, then it can't be real. Imagine if this standard was held up in other genres of music. Imagine if Johnny Cash was viewed as shit because he didn't write Hurt. Imagine if Jimi Hendrix was shit because he didn't write All Along the Watchtower. And that goes even deeper too, because even if you did write your music, it doesn't count if someone else helped you. Imagine, if you will, using this logic on John Lennon and Paul McCartney. And I get that making rap comes with a different expectation of how much of yourself you put into a song. It's why rap covers don't really exist within the genre. Except rap takes ideas that others have had and reinterprets them into something new. The only difference here from doing it with samples is that a lot of this is being done before the song is even released. No one is allowed to iterate on other people's art, apparently. Fuck me, I guess. To be honest, I don't really have advice for you specifically, as I think the problematic elements of the video were very unintentional and more so created by the culture. And you seem to at least know what you're doing, for the most part. But, like...
Well, I guess you could say your video was a reference track for this one.
I don't think I could have said it better myself. And, hey man, listen, I still want to apologize for...
Don't worry about it, we good. I know sometimes you kind of turn into a loudmouth idiot.
I see what you did there.
Yeah. Anyway, just be more careful next time, okay?
Wait! That's the advice! Fuck!
Spilling my soul on the page with the ink. Better watch what you think, for they put you in a casket. Now my thoughts roll in a rage of the ring. This cannot be a dream, it's a vision for the masses. Everybody knows it's a name, it's a thing. Don't stop, you gon' talk, better listen for a class. It's Boon, the one you hate, but you came to see. That's me, it's nice to be back in